Matt from the Random Maker here, and I'm here to do an apartment build. Well, if you're wondering what an apartment build is, well, look down below for a link to explain what an apartment build is. Okay, now, one of the things I always like to do with apartment builds is I like to keep them small. I like to keep them something you actually would use, not just a random object. So I started thinking, and I'm like, what's something that a lot of people use, wear, or, well, then I looked down at my hand and I've realized, what about a ring? Now, and ring is an incredibly easy project. Now, the method I'm going to be showing you is not the quickest and best method because, you know, apartment rules. I'm not allowed to use a metal lathe. I'm not allowed to use a drill press, even though I have those. That sucks. But, so I'm going to be using hand tools that most people can commonly find either at your local hardware store, or in my case, I actually picked up my files from a garage sale for a couple bucks. So they are not the greatest, so enjoy me suffering on this one. All right, now let's talk about the tools and let's go through this and let's get going. All right, so at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to be working on with is a nut. This nut is incredibly simple to use, incredibly, well, just easy in all honesty. We're going to keep it with that. I actually recommend using stainless steel, even though it's a little harder to work with. Brass is another great one, and even aluminum, but I do recommend using brass, aluminum, or stainless steel, not galvanized. All right, so now that we've got that, there are two hand tools that you can do this entire project with. Okay, the first being a hacksaw. This is a metal hacksaw from, you know, a cheap one from a particular brand that's famous in Canada. And I think I spent like $5, $10. I don't even remember. I just put a new blade on this. I don't use it a whole lot because I'm not a huge metal worker when it comes to hand tools. I prefer power tools when I'm working with metal. The other tool that I recommend, and I'm actually not looking forward to in our case, is, and the most important part, is files. The reason I said I am not looking forward to this is these files are not the absolute best. They are, you know, I found them at a garage sale for like $2-3. And that's the whole point, is this is a very inexpensive project. Okay, I'm going to show you some other tools that you might have laying around that might help you out that unfortunately I am not allowed to use. All right, YouTube, let's get going with some optional but recommended tools that hopefully you have lying around. Number one is a drill, corded or cordless. It doesn't really matter. The only thing is you have to have a large enough metal drill bit. Don't use wood, they will get destroyed. You want to make sure you're using metal drill bits. And if you can use this to hog out the middle instead of with your files, I actually would prefer that method, but in keeping with the apartment build rules, I have to do it all with non-expensive hand tools. All right, so that's the first one. Number two that you might have lying around, or, well, and to make your life easy, is a Dremel. This is an incredibly useful little rotary tool that I highly recommend. And to be honest, it's awesome for this kind of projects. Okay, if you want to put carvings in, if you want to speed up the sanding and everything else process, this is the tool I really wish I could use. Unfortunately, in keeping with the rules, I'm not allowed to use this. But if you have it at home, feel free. All right, your first step for this project is we need to hollow out the inside so it fits on your finger. Okay, so I'm going to do a pinky finger because, I don't know, why not? But the big thing is you want to make sure your hole you're reaming out is just above the finished size what you want, because we are going to be sanding the inside for the final smoothness because the files are going to leave it rough, or even if you Dremel or all that stuff, it is not good. All right, what we're going to do here is we are going to be putting on our safety glasses and let's get going. One of the things I am going to say right now is make sure when you're filing, you're doing a circular type motion with the round file here. Now, the reason for that is you want your file to, well, you want the inside of your ring to be circular. And if you do cut, 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 you're going to start to just cut in little grooves that you eventually can catch it later, but It's just a lot easier if you kind of do a motion where it's semicircles, as you kind of see me do. I don't just go back and forth. I kind of go around to get that round edge going even beforehand. At this stage, you have your bolt mainly reamed out. So you can see it's in here. Now, mine's still not that smooth because I used a file. But it's all right. If that's what you got, that's what you got. Now, what I want you to do is, hey, be careful. Don't force it on. You want it to be snug but not tight, and you also don't want to force this and get it stuck on. If you get it past your knuckle and you're having a hard time, get some dish soap, put it on your finger, and very gently, carefully rock it back and forth and pull it out. And just make sure before at any point you test it, just take the sandpaper and get those burrs down so that even if you do get it stuck, it's not going to cut you or hurt yourself. Okay, next step. I'm going to grab a drill bit. Okay, you can see the irony, right? I hope so. And I'm going to wrap sandpaper around it. Now, I used a drill bit just because it was the closest thing I had to my drill. My table is right by my drill bits, and it's nice and solid and hard. And as we can kind of see, it'll fit on the inside because this is the biggest drill bit I have here, not at my job sites. Now, what we want to do next is put the ring side and start spinning and sanding in a circular pattern to keep that nice and round. And the nice thing is, this is, if you were a little rough and maybe not perfect, you can just spin it around on the sandpaper. And you want to use nice low grit, like 80 to start. Then you want to start at 120, 220. And then with metal, you want to go a little higher than that and just use it until it's right smooth on your finger. If you are using aluminum or brass, it's not going to take that long. If you're using stainless steel, it takes a while, and I'm in the stainless steel category, so yay. All right, at this point, you have a rounded ring on the inside, and it's nice and smooth now. I can put it on my finger. The person I'm making this for their finger is roughly the size of my pinky, so we're going to go with that. And I'm going to thin this down because you can leave it like this. And in all honesty, some people like to leave one side flat and do like those big bling rings. I don't know the word or whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to thin this down, and I'm going to do about 3/4 of the thickness, I think is a good thickness. And how I'm going to do that? Really simple. I'm going to take a hacksaw. And that's one of the reasons I like leaving the outside edge until the very end, because I like to do the inside. As you can see, it grips in with a C-clamp, or it's just easy to grab with your hand, or in my case a vise. It's easy to ream the inside. Also with the cutting, it holds it in place. Same thing, C-clamp. Now, I think you're gonna need you're gonna need a clamp or a vise to use the hacksaw. There is no way I can think of easily, or unless you're Hercules, to do it without. But I'm gonna be using my vise and hacksaw, and I'm just going to quickly cut this down. So enjoy me cutting with a hacksaw a little. Okay, we're going to put this right in here. Grab our handy dandy hacksaw, check the blade, and as you can see here, I've now cut my bolt in half. Now, I am not the greatest straight cutter, especially on that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to take a file and level it so that it looks nice, pretty, and yeah, pretty. Okay. Let's get filing. Now, what you want to do with the files is use both hands in a very smooth motion and hold the file dead flat. Okay, and of course, I've got a single cut here, so it's only cutting on the one side. So it's just a matter of nice, straight filing at this stage. All right, let's move to the next step. You don't need to see me filing. Well, hang on, pause. This is where the video was supposed to continue. Unfortunately, as you can kind of see in a couple breaths, we got the Canadian winter going. The funny part is this video was actually supposed to be the very first video for the random maker. You know, originally we thought, cool, it's warming up. No problem. Then it hit minus stupid. So unfortunately, due to work schedules, everything got on pause. Start to see mixtures of when I was frozen and warm. So you can kind of tell by watch the clothing on the arms. That's the easiest way to tell. Okay, well, I hope you enjoy. Let's go back to it. Okay, at this point, you can kind of see how this is starting to look. And so what we're going to do next is we're just going to start to file over and over and start to round this ring out. That's about it. This part is not exciting. There we go. We finally got this, like, let me show you what we got here. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind, I'm using a vise here, and so these edges right now are beaten, like they're really rough, and so I've just made that conscious decision. I'm gonna get that with sandpaper. Luckily for me, this is a file or a vise that doesn't have really sharp teeth, so it doesn't scratch in that much. Okay, now, if yours does not turn out perfectly round the first couple times, that's fine. I've made hundreds of these rings over time. I prefer using power tools, you know, a metal lathe, even a drill press makes this incredibly easier, but in our case, this works pretty good. Okay, now what we're gonna do is the next part that is not fun, which is sanding, okay? Now we're gonna start with 80 grit. Welcome to Sanding 101. Oh, damn. Okay, this is gonna be a while. So what I'm gonna do, go down in sandpapers and make this pretty. That's about it. All right, I'm gonna get going. Sanding, sanding, sanding. Before I go, if you wanna get the middle, again, just like previous where I took the drill bit and spun it inside, there, finger. Recommend gloves at this stage just because, yeah, it's a good idea. Okay, yeah. We can pause it here. Yeah, bye-bye. Well, not bye-bye, just let me save your sanity. Hallelujah. Okay. Now, I am happy enough with this for this process because one of the things I am going to do with this one is I'm actually going to carve and put some designs in there. And you can do that with the hacksaw. I'm actually going to use a Dremel at this point because we have finished the apartment build at this stage of the game, which is, here is a ring. Okay. And I've now sized it a little better, so that is exactly what we want. Here's a ring. That is perfectly beautiful. And now you're here to wear it. All right. So what did we manage to do? We managed to take this and turn it into this. And there's the final results. If you like this video, why don't you hit the like button? Even better, hit the subscribe button. If you have any project ideas, especially, well, anything actually, we're pretty not limited here in the Trial Monkey Studio. This is Matt from The Random Maker. Until the next video, let's get making.